Your things say recording in progress or no? I was just waiting on that.
Recording in progress.
Recording in progress.
Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is the Newton Board of Selectmen's meeting on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. The time is 6 o'clock and you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. First up, we're going to call on Mr. Murray to talk about the skate park. Sure. Yep, right there at the podium. That'll be great.
All right, how's it going, guys? So let's see. We started fundraising kind of early 2021, I believe, and over that time we've saved up about $27,000. It's still in a account right now.
25,400.
25. Okay. And so basically, right now, I've been talking to a few different companies and just trying to get an idea of what the next steps are. A little while back, I spoke with what's the name? Drawing a blank on the name right now, but talking about possibly removing some of the trees at Greenie Park. The road agent, thank you. Yes, back towards the end of the parking lot area, to the right. So I just kind of wanted to come here tonight just to kind of check in, see if that's still a possibility, and if it is, I'll continue with the fundraising. And
I believe I spoke with Mike today. I actually tried to get him to show up. He might be busy. He did say that's still a possibility. He actually happened to talk to a logger, I think last week, about having it logged. So it's still on the table. It's
Okay,
not.
great.
It's definitely not off the table.
Okay.
So that's still there. It's still a possibility that we're going to pursue that, clearing that out. You know.
At this point, do we know the amount of space?
I don't
Okay.
know that. I don't know if Tricia knows. She might know, but
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know the amount of space.
Okay. And just from one of the companies I spoke with, they gave me a few quotes based on size,
Yep.
basically. So that's where, I mean, just trying to figure out a number of where to reach, you know.
So, if you could, in comparison, if you're capable of, what size is the one we had? That way I have something in my head I can compare it to.
So that one was about 100 by 50 feet.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think anything would be great. So, you know, depending on what the amount of size we could
Sure.
have available,
Yeah.
would definitely, obviously the price would go up. Depending on the size.
Exactly,
So,
and I completely
you know,
understand that. I was just trying to, so I could get it in my head, the size we had versus what these sizes are, you know what I mean?
Sure, yep. Oh, is that, do you have the list there? The different quotes? Okay, great, yeah. All right, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really, I just wanted to check and see if it's still worth fundraising. And
Yeah,
seeing if we could
keep
get,
only going into that. So
yeah.
Yeah, keep it up, yeah, definitely.
If it takes, 5 more years, whatever, it just,
Whatever it takes,
yeah,
that money is
Yep.
for that specifically, and you can't do anything else with
okay,
it.
Just gain an interest.
all right, great.
Trish, do you want to comment on just,
Sure. So, what Mike and I, the road agent and I, and Conservation had talked about with some of the funds that we actually have saved for this is expanding the parking lot. Is that what you're talking about, or is this just the skateboard park?
skateboard park?
Okay.
He's talking about the land, like he doesn't know
Okay.
how much is there that you
Okay.
completed. I don't know either.
So, the parking lot could be made bigger. What we walked, Conservation walked, and the road agent walked. As you go into Granny Park, boy, there's an echo here. As you go into the park, we got to go about 20 or 25 feet into the parking entrance. Isn't that funny? I'm hearing myself. It's very scary.
The computer behind me.
It's very scary. Okay. And then from that 25 feet in from the entrance, we were going to actually clear to make the parking lot bigger, another 100 feet into the woods for a length of 125 feet. So if that helps the skateboard park any, if recreation is reconfiguring anything, the parking area would be a lot bigger, so if they needed more space with what we already have there, oh, that's so much better, I hate hearing myself. Maybe that would help, so I know two of you are on recreation. If that will help skateboard park, you know what our plan was.
Well, I believe that was part of the original conversations that we were having, as we extended the parking lot in that area, part of that was gonna be placed for the skate park
Okay,
over in that area, for the simple reason that it would be safer for the skaters to be over there, and then they would be away from the smaller children who would be in the other
that's a good point.
playground area, so that we wouldn't have to be worrying about trying to put up a fence and then the kids,
Devil, okay. All right, well, I just wanted to
Doing their
clarify
stuff.
what Mike and I had talked about. Sure. Thank you.
I have one question, Paul. You said you're getting some estimates. What are your estimates coming in at?
Actually, I don't have that list with me yet.
Is that it? Just this isn't working right now.
It's not working on
And they're based on these numbers.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, I guess for the lowest estimate, so this would be with a concrete pad that was poured, though. So that would be a
pictures.
separate
Yeah.
expense. But for a 60 by
goes up, it gets more
35
expensive.
foot area, the estimate is $30,000. And then it goes up from there.
Is that them installing it? Is that just, okay, so they're gonna come and install it?
And these aren't the concrete ramps that we used to have. These would be like the park in Exeter, so they're made of metal.
Yeah.
And they can kind of configure them any different way. They also offer asphalt pump tracks, which might be interesting, especially if it's kind of into the wooded area, because you can use the existing soil there to kind of shape. And I mean, it might bring more BMX and mountain bike people in too.
Yeah.
So just as something, as another option or something to think about maybe down the line. So,
what size were you thinking of?
I mean, again, I'm happy with anything really at this point. I think it would be nice to keep something around the size that we used to have, if possible. And maybe even have something where, even if we had a smaller concrete or metal ramp skate park area and have some sort of pump track that existed kind of attached to it, maybe, depending on, you know, what the site looks like after it's cleared.
Sure.
So, just something to think about, I guess, you know.
Well, continue fundraising though.
Yeah, all right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And let us know what you're doing for fundraising so we can, you know,
Yeah.
maybe publicize it.
Well, yeah, I gotta get back on it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
All right, take care.
Town insures that?
Insures it?
Yeah, the
Well, yeah,
accidents.
it's part of it,
Yeah.
just like any other park. It's not like, I don't think it's extra, it's just like.
No,
All right. Any other citizens' input? You, sir? No, you're good? That was part of that, yeah. Okay. Moving on, we'll go to Police Department's monthly report.
All right, good evening, guys.
Good evening, Chief.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Okay, so we had a busy month. Officer Yulee, our part-time guy, started the academy, so he's 4 weeks in. He checks in weekly, he's doing very well. We had Sergeant Mounsey just complete a FBI leader training at the Hampton PD. It was a 5-day internal affairs investigation training, and very intensive, prestigious training, and he did very well. Got certified in it, so in the future we won't have to go to outside agencies if we have to conduct any internal investigations. Officer Adenozio completed a 3-day first-line supervisor training in Guilford, New Hampshire. And he did very well, learned a lot. I think that's going to help him in the future. The evidence room has now officially been passed over to Sergeant Mounsey. That's been a long time coming, straightened out. We had a scam training for the residents in town that went really well. That was at Sergeant Woods. They were kind enough to host us, and really great turnout. Senior citizens learned a lot. Just a lot of scams have been going on. People getting scammed out of money, so that worked out well. Lieutenant Mascaro resigned for personal reasons, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. So unfortunately, that puts us 2 full-timers down. This week, we're doing oral boards to try and fill those positions. So Wednesday and Thursday, we're gonna be conducting oral boards, and hopefully we'll get some good candidates. So, good news, this past weekend, we have a suspect that has 4 active warrants in Newton, and we were able to, working with the Coast Guard and New Bedford PD, we were able to arrest him as he came off a fishing boat in New Bedford. So we have 4 active warrants, and the victim was a resident, or a couple residents in our town. So we're happy about that. He's going to get extradited from Mass, and he'll have to stand, for our charges. So that was a good thing. And I think that's about it. It's been a busy month.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Nice.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Chief?
Don't see Lisa.
Lisa's downstairs.
What's that?
She's downstairs.
Yeah, no, I'll skip.
She is downstairs,
I can skip her for right now. Let's, we'll go to the fire chief. And Jeff.
Evening, Board.
Hey, Chief.
Is it for the new hire or the EMS billing?
Do the new hire
new hire
first, and then we'll, just don't go anywhere, and we'll do the next thing.
Excellent.
All right?
Recommending that the board hire Dakota Poole. He is highly recommended by a couple of our members. He's a full-timer right next door in the town of Kingston, and he'd like to come and work for the town of Newton per diem. Well, part-time on the ambulance. He's a firefighter, EMT advanced. So he has training. We'd like to get him in on the books so he could get a couple of weeks in training with the department so he can go into the rotation starting in March.
And he has all the certs and everything?
I submitted all.
Okay, good deal. So with that, I'd like to move to hire Dakota Poole as a firefighter EMT advanced at the hourly rate of $22.50 an hour, pending he meets requirements set forth by the chief.
Second.
Motion made by Joe S., seconded by Joe A. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. All right, chief.
Okay. Several months ago, before the town administrator retired, he asked if I could look into another EMS billing company. I asked around with several of the area towns on who they are using, and they recommended Mr. Spencer from Medical Business. At that time, the TA asked if Mr. Spencer could send in some information to the board and to the town, in which he did. Since we're getting close to doing our own transports, I figured this would be a perfect time for Mr. Spencer to meet the board and let the board know what Mr. Spencer's about, because you already know who we have currently, Comstar, and if the board had any questions for Mr. Spencer.
Sure. Comstar is doing our billing now, and how many outstanding do you have right now that you're chasing?
I've lost count. I can tell you, you and I had a conversation of what happened a few
Last
weeks
time?
back, that I made a recommendation many years ago to the board to move away from Comstar. Unfortunately, they were the only team.
Game in town? Sure.
Exactly. But since last year, and Mr. Spencer can correct me, since last year with Plastow leaving and the Trinity, Pride Star leaving, Mr. Spencer was able to come in and better bang for the buck.
Sure.
Instead of a big company, what you see is what you have behind me. He's more one-on-one from what I've been told by the other departments. And the reimbursement is a lot better
Okay.
with Mr. Spencer's company than with Comstar.
So what you're telling us is he's a bulldog, and he's gonna get the job done.
Well, he can tell you.
I'm sorry, say that again, Bulldog?
Bulldog, and you're gonna get the job done.
Yes, you know, if you look at it, right, our mission statement, the only proviso, we do it legally and we do it respectfully. But you know, I've been working with fire departments and ambulances now for 40 years. I started in New Hampshire. I was the chief of fire standards and training way back when. I lived in Pembroke. This is an unfamiliar territory. And if you don't mind, you know, I'll tell you who we are, because we are going to be different. About 13 years ago, I was meeting with a Vermont EMS organization.
Could you do me a favor, take one more
Yeah,
step
no
forward?
worries.
Thank you.
And I was meeting with an EMS organization, and they were dealing with the recession in 2008, something like that. And they were sitting around the table going, oh, we can save money this way, this way, this way, this way. And I happen to have a fair amount of background in fire EMS as well as in insurance. And I wasn't there for that reason, but I said, well, wait a second, how about reimbursement? And they looked at me, you know, the other side of the coin. They looked at me and said, I don't know, we got some out-of-state company. They do something with our bills. We get some money in our bank account, and we get some reports at the end of the month that we don't really understand. And I thought to myself, you know, I could do better than that. And so I created this company for that one customer. I've never, ever marketed. Never. It's always been word of mouth. And I've always stuck with Vermont and New Hampshire because I have a lot of time in Vermont and New Hampshire. I have a lot of loyalty to this area, a lot of loyalty. There's plenty of business for a little company like us. We're not the biggest. I don't want to be the biggest. Most of our business has come from Comstar. And I don't want to say they're not competent or bad people, because they aren't bad people. And they are competent, but they're a big company that's grabbing the low-hanging fruit. You know, I have a long history here, and I want to be able to look in the eye and tell you that we're doing everything we can. And so the things that we do, you know, I only have 8 employees. You call our office, you're going to get a person. If you call me, you're going to get me. And that's a big deal. So we're nowhere near as big. We are very focused, but we're actually more sophisticated than our big out-of-state companies. And so that's sort of where we came from. And I think if you really want to find out, just ask the other people. And in this whole thing with Trinity around this area, it's probably been about 2 years since the first service contacted me. And I think we are going to be serving just about every.
Who are some of your current clients in the area?
Excuse me?
Who are some of your current clients in the area?
Well, right around here, Plastow, East Kingston, Sandown, Hampstead, just about everybody that was involved with this Trinity situation. Danville, Brentwood, Exeter, you know, because they reached out to me way back when. And some of them were not billing at all. And I don't even want to go into the details of why that was, but it doesn't reflect positively on Comstar, I'll just tell you that much. But I don't want to come here and sell us based on their back.
Right.
We will do a better job, that'll guarantee. And the other thing that I firmly believe in is information. And the information we'll be able to feed back to you on a monthly basis as well as an ad hoc basis will blow your mind. You know, if you really want to find out where your money's coming from and things along those lines,
Can you give us an example?
it's right on down to your response times. We take the data out of our system, of our billing system, and we put it into analytics. We can show you, well, it's in that presentation that I gave way back when.
Okay, I'll find it and give it to the
You know,
board.
not only will you see your charges and credits broken out, but you'll see trending. And you get to the point where you start being able to look at the trends. Scroll right about in the middle. You know, you start looking at these trends and you can see what's going on. I can look at it and say, hey chief, what happened in April? From looking at some of these trends.
Just tell me where.
Let me back up for a second. You know, one thing that is a good example is, you know, I don't know if it's still this way now, but the way it was in the past with the big out-of-state companies, invoices went out to patients on copy paper. Black and white copy paper. And you know, so you get this patient, gets this invoice from the hospital, really looks impressive, you know, or a doctor or something, and then he gets this crappy looking copy paper invoice. And way back when, I said, you know, that's a big deal. So we put it all out on a pre-printed, hard stock, colorized invoice. So when they get the invoice, it looks impressive. And I had one customer, one patient say to me, it's a long time, I said, you guys too cheap for perforation. And it's true, you know, you want it like this. So it's all perforated. I think that costs us more money, but that little bit means a fair amount. Sure. But go ahead, scroll down and show you a little, just some ideas.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, everyone that's listening on TV can't hear you because you're
Oh,
not.
listen there, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm thinking about that.
I'm the mother here.
Yeah, I mean, you get obviously your charges and credits broken down, your ALS1, your BLS, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you can get it, stop back, go down for a second, drop it down here. You can see on the right, a lot of the stuff that we're gonna give you is more than just what you get now, just basic raw charges and credits. I mean, any company can do that. But on the right, you can see the trends in your calls, ALS1s, BLS, over a period of time. Things that we can provide it to you because you can see what's going on. We can give you information by town, right on down to the 0.2%, you know, like 2.2% by towns you're going into. Scroll up a little bit more. This just gives you some ideas the other way. You know, like trending, this is huge. I mean, you're right, you can see what your trends are by stepping back and looking at this. Is this something necessarily your accounting and your finance people are gonna look at? Probably not. There's other reports. But if you wanna see what's going on in your charges and credits, this is what you guys really wanna see and the chief wants to see on both sides. So scroll a little more. These are just some examples. We also take the information out of our system. We take the information out of TEMPSIS, or whatever they call it now, the statewide incident reporting system. So we'll grab that data and pull it in. So we can provide you your no transports every month. We can provide you not only your transports, your no transports, and your other calls, because we're pulling that out of the state system to provide you with more information. And the chief wants to come and say, gee, seems like we're running a lot of no transports. Well, you can see them. So scroll down a little more. This actually gives you your response times by category. What are your average response times in the previous month? Has nothing to do with billing. But we have that information. We have the technology. Why not give it to you? If I were, you know, the chief or you guys, this is the kind of stuff I'd like to see. You know, what's your response time? Scroll down. And sometimes the taxpayers like to see this. This is your chief complaints. You know, last month you went 3 chest pains, 2 of this, 2 of that. It has nothing at all to do with billing. It provides you guys with more information because, you know, we've got the technology.
Provides the
Why
chief
not?
with some good data also.
So, you know, why not give it to you? So I do believe really, I think not only getting the revenues through the door, but also providing you some information that can be meaningful and not outrageously complicated.
Sure.
And the bottom line, I think the big difference, other than the fact we're small and focused, we still care. This is my life. You know, I've been involved with fire departments and ambulances for a long time. You know, I've got some credibility here. We've built a lot of credibility, a great reputation. That's why we haven't marketed. And I don't know, if we never bring in another customer, that's fine. But if someone reaches out and say, we're here, pretty good, will you take a look at it? It's absolutely, just for Vermont and New Hampshire. Sure. So that's the thing, and we will be aggressive, especially with the insurers. We will be with the patients, but always, our mission statement says, we want to treat the patient with the same respect the crew did.
Sure.
Because
what I wanna hear.
Get you anywhere. They're also your taxpayers.
Yep.
Sure.
So that's a little bit about us, and where we came from. You know, in the end, we build just like the other companies do, but that's probably where the similarity ends. And I think just talk to other people, they'll tell you who we are.
Sure.
And we know all about the Trinity scenario.
How could you not be in
You're
that
living it.
business?
What's that?
How could you not know about it being in that business?
Yeah,
You
and
know?
of course, it just went all of a sudden, I don't know who the first service down here was. You know, they had heard good stuff about us. Hey, we got this coming down the pike. I think it was Plastow. Chief Notes in Plastow was the first one. Hampstead's, you know, gonna be taking over full gun. Whole bunch of them start on March 1. And right now, are you running all the calls in town, or are they running the calls?
They still are.
But so you're in the same boat as everybody else. Yep. Anyway, that's just a little bit about us.
Okay.
So let me ask a question. What does it cost to us? What's the percentage
What's
or
your annual
whatnot?
call volume, chief? After ballpark?
About 500 to 600.
7%, which a lot of companies, Crown Star's the same way. And I won't say that they're probably not cheaper. We don't say we're the cheapest, but we haven't lost a customer yet. We charge based upon the amount of money we bring in, and we actually net out any refunds, things like that. So every month you'll see all your net payments, as well as a whole bunch of other information. It's that times our percentage, done.
And I assume that your rate of, I don't know what you call it in your business, but when you first get a claim to when it's settled, it's probably a lot less than ComStart.
I apologize.
Your rate of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah.
Your turn to
Yeah.
get
So
paid.
here's what I generally find, and that's obviously that's the most important question. Quantifying it is a real challenge, although I've seen ComStar reports. I know, I've been looking at, since we started 13 years ago, we've been taking over from ComStar, so I know their reports, I know where they're strong and where they're not. We generally find your biggest losses are fee schedule, Medicare and Medicaid. If you're at all, I mean, it's just the reality of it. And, 1 second. Now, I'll show you, we are very good at what we do, but I'll tell you, it's an uphill battle. What we do is a wicked uphill battle. Hang on, give me for 1 sec. I think this would be interesting. If I can find it, that is. Just for, just so you got the background, this is your payer mix based upon some information in 2022, I think, that somehow came through that group. Your Medicare is 53% of your calls are Medicare. And in Medicare, you could charge $1 million a call. You're going to get fee schedule, no matter who the billing company is. Medicaid's 12%, same thing. Those fee schedules are the biggest anchor towards reimbursement back to the taxpayers, and I think they're woefully inadequate. And then there's a lot of legislative action going on in New Hampshire right now to try to set some minimums for commercial insurers. They can't touch Medicare. They can't touch Medicaid, but this is your payer mix. You have 4% uninsured, 23% commercial, 1% unknown, which I don't know what that is, and collection 7%. I scratch my head and I wonder what the hell that is. But that's a big factor in this. But I get back to the original question. I usually find losses about 4 cents on the dollar. 4 cents roughly, when I see 4 to 5 cents on the dollar, truly losses due to people that don't pay their bills. That's about what I usually look to see. And usually about half of that 4.4 to 5% is uninsured patients, because you do have uninsured, you get 4%. Unfortunately, they don't pay their bills. Simple as that. So about half of that is uninsured. The other half are people that don't pay their balances. Insurance pays, they've got a balance, and they don't pay that bill. And the thing that makes your life harder here is the fact you're on the Massachusetts line. That makes it really hard because a lot of the people that you may transport here, do you have a lot of people that live in town but they work in Mass? They may have a Massachusetts insurance policy. And what the out-of-state insurers do, there's a law in New Hampshire that says you have to send the check to probably the chief's heard about this, you've got to send the payment to the ambulance service. Well, it's true for New Hampshire and Vermont insureds, but the insurance companies, the out-of-state ones, take the position that they're beyond that. They don't fall under New Hampshire's jurisdiction or Vermont's. So we'll send an invoice on your behalf for $1,300 to Anthem, Massachusetts Blue Cross. They'll send the check to the patient, and then the patient won't pay your bill.
Run into that.
And that's only out-of-state scenarios. So you guys on the borderline, we run it with borders, we run it with ski areas, with a lot of out-of-staters, snowmobile areas like Coos County. We got some customers up there. Anytime you have out-of-staters, out-of-state insureds, it makes your life a little bit harder. Hate to say it. But anyway, that's a little bit about us. I'm more than happy to work with you. We'll you know, there's more to this than just business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Chief, I think as a board, as a whole, is fine with whatever you decide. It's your department.
Right.
The only thing, I'll stop in tomorrow before the board makes its decision. If it's all right, I'll stop in tomorrow. I just do not know the contract with Comstar,
We'll find it.
what the date is.
That's fine.
So I wouldn't want the board to make a decision when we,
I think our decision
Is you make your
take a vote
decision.
right now. It's going to be to allow the chief to
Move
make the
ahead.
decision.
Exactly.
For us, because it's your department, and if you think this is best, which it sounds like it is, and I hope you make that decision.
You, it's good for us.
But I want you to make that decision, so.
my decision was based on one of the biggest departments in this area that's been with Mr. Spencer for a year, and it's not had one problem. And not only that department, we have a few others, like you said, Exeter, Brentwood, that have been doing it for a while. What I'll do then, with the board's permission, once I find that out, if the contract is up or there's a way to leave the contract, I'll let the board know. I'll let Mr. Spencer know. Mr. Spencer, I'm sure, is going to have to talk to the treasurer, because he's going to need all the bank stuff or whatever.
Yeah, there's a setup process.
The setup.
A lot of it is operational from the department, but certainly banking information, things like that, certainly finance.
Good. Sounds good.
So with that, I'll make the motion to allow the fire chief to make the decision on the medical billing
I'll
for
second
the
that.
fire department.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Chief, we'll figure out what's up with the contract, and we'll get back to you tomorrow.
Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jeff.
Lisa left, so.
I want to skip to
Thank you, Mr. Spencer.
5.2.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to skip down the line to 5.2, the intent to cut 39 Whittier Street, map 6, lot 11, block 2-2.
Move to acknowledge the receipt of a notice of intent to cut for tax map ID 6-11-2-2 pursuant to NHRSA 79:10.
Second.
Motion made by Bob, seconded by Joe A. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that is unanimous. I don't have that paper on. Did you print that paper?
I think she has it.
Mike, oh, Joe's got it.
After you fellas get all done signing that, can I take it with me?
You absolutely can.
Thank you very much.
What we're gonna do. How many acres are you cutting?
I
7?
heard about 7, I don't quite know anything, but that's what I heard.
Oh, okay. This isn't the one I'm
Are
signing.
we at the bottom of this thing?
Mike's got it over there.
We'll pass it right down.
As soon as it's signed, it's gonna end up by him and you'll be good to go. Or do you need a copy of it?
Copy of it. I think Chris has to sign it, and then you get a copy.
Oh, okay. Our assessor has to sign it.
She'll be here tomorrow.
Do it tomorrow. Is that a problem for you to swing by?
Well, they were looking to start at 7 o'clock in the morning to have a permit, that's all.
She'll be here at 8.
All right.
Let me read it real quick and make sure that it's not official until she signs it. Somebody signed it. No, somebody,
If I'm not mistaken, isn't, with the intent to cut, it's just a formality when the board's signing it? So he really doesn't need it signed to be able to start at 7 AM? As long as the board does sign it, and even though it's in her office?
During the day, we
You,
go and get it anyway so they can post it.
Yep.
right, that you would be all set to go anyways.
We're just
And then you could
acknowledging
just
it.
swing by at some point tomorrow and just pick it up from Chris, so that you would have it. Because at this board, the board will have signed it, so we've acknowledged it, and it's just a matter of Chris's formality.
at that point, just,
Yeah.
You guys already been there, Joe, when you said you're waiting for your permit, he said, yup, should be Tuesday, he says, okay, good enough.
There you go.
or make a copy of it, keep the original, take the copy,
Certainly.
and then tomorrow, you guys start at 7, and then just tomorrow pick up the signed copy of, from her.
Yep,
And then we'll be good to go, all right? So can you run and make that copy? Thank you so much.
Whereabouts is that on Whittier Street?
You can probably copy it here.
Move that downstairs, you don't wanna wait.
All right, all right.
Right?
All right, all right.
Fall on a booby trap or something?
Make a copy, keep that one.
All right.
Give him the copy, right.
Do you want, I'm gonna move Lisa to the end, just let me know when you're ready for her,
That's
because
fine.
she was pressed for time.
I will. Should be right back. Mike, you got anything?
No, I only came for, the skateboard.
The skateboard park if you needed to, yeah, Tricia filled in for you. So. She filled in for you in your absence, so, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike?
Sure thing, Mike. Actually, I would love an update about the salt and everything else that,
Yeah, I just thought about it walking out. Just give you a heads up, and we're not the only town. It's chronic in the entire area, state, surrounding towns. Our salt usage is off the charts right now. I've used more salt this year from January 1 to this point than some years I use all year. I don't think there's anything we can do about it. To be quite honest with you, the last storm, I'd actually like to have used more salt. But there's a balancing act, you know what I mean? Timing wasn't in our favor. A lot of towns had a lot of pack on their roads. We didn't have that much. We stayed up on it, but the grand scheme of things, the budget, unless it dies down, I mean, we're close to the later part of the winter anyhow, so I think we're in okay shape, but our salt budget is almost annihilated at this point.
sure,
We'll see how it plays out for the rest of the year. I don't think anybody's surprised to hear it,
no,
but I'll just give you the update that that's where we're at, and we'll see how the rest of the winter goes.
yeah.
No,
Thanks,
guys.
Mike.
Mike, what's the availability with the salt too? I heard that there was an issue.
There's all sorts of rumblings. Morton Salt looks like it's close to being depleted. I know they've got some ships scheduled to come in. We get it from Granite State, Eastern Minerals. Fortunately, I can stand here and tell you at the podium, I can always get salt. I do all their maintenance for 14 yards all year. So I'm priority here, and then everybody else is down. So I'm pretty fortunate when it comes to that. We'll be able to get salt, but they are shutting off a lot of independent vendors, landscapers, lower tier guys, will have a hard time getting salt until it changes, you know. I mean, this past 3 weeks has been kind of unusual. Tonight's the same thing. We're not getting any snow melt because 8 degrees tonight, 8 degrees tomorrow night. Sun's up, but not overly strong. We don't have Mother Nature working with us, against us. So it's a challenge.
Oh, yeah,
We'll
plus
make
that
it,
wind.
but it's a challenge, and this is what it comes down to. All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Two ships showed up there the other day, according to Facebook. Pictures of them. Up the pier, there's 2 ships that showed up.
Oh, they did. They get settled with this for interstate.
Thank you, have a good night.
Take care, gentlemen.
Tricia, I would be remiss if I did not call you up right now.
I'll make this quick because I know you were trying to have a quick meeting.
No,
No?
takes as long as it takes.
Okay. So this is just an update. I did explain to you that I was updating our SAM.gov information with the state. Now, last year, some of you might remember, we actually got scammed. I think Robin will remember it. Somebody copied the SAM.gov website, sent us emails, said, oh yeah, you need to pay, I forget what it was, $333 or something to renew. And I thought, gee, that's funny. I do this every year. They don't ask us for money. So I called the lady, and she was quite nice, and we went back and forth. Well, come to find out, we paid it. And then, like, 4 months later, we got another thing. I'm like, well, this is weird. So I called Jim, I talked to Robin, and come to find out, it was a scam. We're not supposed to pay anything to SAM.gov. We did get our money back, but because of that, I was gun shy when I got an email about SAM.gov last week. And I did call them, and I think Robin and I talked before she went away, and I said, I'll confirm this, it's not a scam. Well, it wasn't a scam. So yesterday, I got an email. I filled out all the information with SAM.gov, and I thought, this is going to get kicked back because I had to take out so many names of people that weren't here anymore. And I'm like, they are going to think I'm scamming them. And so sure enough, I got this in bold email yesterday. You have to do this within 72 hours or else, I don't know, I'm going to turn into a pumpkin or something. I don't know. So I called them yesterday. And it is true, this is a new verification process because of what happened to not only us last year, but many other towns. So we had to confirm all kinds of things. So I've done the letter, I've signed the letter, and I had to confirm our name is Town of Newton, not the Town of Newton. I had to confirm that you legally have public meetings, and it's on letterhead that I now have to send them a copy of maybe tonight's meeting if Robin can get it done in time. I had to confirm that there were no other Town of Newtons that were affiliated with us. And they gave me like 10 addresses, Alabama, Texas, and 8 Merrimack Road, Newton, New Hampshire. Well, come to find out, our previous chief set up his own account. And so that triggered a question for us. So I did call. When I talked to SAM.gov, I said, is that okay that the police department has their own SAM.gov and what they call a cage number? They said yes. Many times they do that so that if they want to do their own grant or equipment purchases. So that's perfectly fine, but I had to acknowledge it, which I did on this letter. I had to acknowledge that our physical address is this address, and that we don't always do virtual business. We could, but we physically have a brick and mortar building. I had to confirm that. And that the majority of our operations are conducted from this building. So I've done everything they wanted. I had to give the primary contact, the POC, which is always, well, for the last at least 4 years, has been me. They wanted my address. I did do the EMD address, even though I don't like that one. I'll say that softly. And I had to give a direct phone number. They didn't want a group phone number. So I've completed all this. I'll sign this and send this, and then if Robin can get the minutes of this meeting, technically I was supposed to have it by tomorrow. They wanted it within 72 hours, but I did tell them we're working under a little bit of staff restraints, so hopefully they'll give me a little wiggle room. And I did talk to the police chief because he didn't know that he had his own sam.gov account. So I did tell him I will help him and Katrina with that. I suggested he keep it in case he wants to do equipment purchases. Theirs isn't going to expire until March 30th, so I told him I would help him, and he's thrilled. So I think that gives you my update. Once this goes in, this was the last piece of, along with the town audit, that I needed to get our reimbursement. And Diane last week searched for it for me, and then today, Mary Jo was able to give me a PDF so that I can send it to Homeland Security, and hopefully then we'll get that $276,000, hopefully soon. And I think that gives you everything up to date.
Thank you, Trish.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
Next up, Granny Park User Field Agreement.
So I'm not sure why that's up there.
What?
I guess I'm not sure why that was up here.
This hasn't been approved yet.
All right, we gotta make changes to it too. We're gonna have to make new changes to it because it has the rec coordinator on there that's no longer here and her phone number, so it has to be changed again.
Okay.
And we have to change some wording on a key.
Want to move it to
All
the
right,
next meeting?
we can table it to the next meeting, that's fine. What? Yeah, whenever the next selectmen's meeting is.
Yeah, we should have it fixed by the next rec meeting, then you can have it to select the meeting.
That's fine, you guys aren't changing anything that's gonna be required to go to legal, so.
No, nope.
Okay. Well, we'll do appointments to the Conservation Committee,
Okay.
Commission.
I move to appoint Tricia McCarthy to the Conservation Commission and the Stewardship Committee, being a subcommittee with the term to expire on April 30th, 2028.
Second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous.
I move to appoint Joe Simone, Mike Seacamp, and Mary Marshall to the Conservation Commission and the Stewardship Committee, being a subcommittee with a term to expire on April 30th, 2027.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
I move to appoint Barbara D. Bartolome to the Conservation Commission and the Stewardship Committee, being a subcommittee with a term to expire April 30th, 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
I move to appoint Nancy Slombo to the Conservation Commission and the Stewardship Committee, being a subcommittee with a term to expire on April 30th, 2028.
Second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor? Aye, that is unanimous. Trish, can you run downstairs and get Lisa, or are you texting her?
Oh,
Or?
I can call her,
Yeah.
but she's just pressed for time, so if we call her.
What do you mean? Press for time how? We're ready for her right now.
Okay.
How long she's gonna be here doing this, I can't answer that.
No, right.
Some selectmen are gonna have questions, I don't.
Hi, did you mind calling us to present? Yeah, or discuss, thank you.
That's the reports.
Oh, excuse me. Been a long day.
what am I getting rid of? The 8 Merrimack Road.
It will be.
For the 8 on the back of it.
Yeah.
All right.
That makes sense.
And on the 5060, the ambulance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are all, for January, are all the expenses in?
Yes.
All expenses, all?
Yeah, we're reconciled up to January 31st.
I don't know if you want to do some manifest while we wait for Lisa.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ready?
Whichever Joe is going to do it.
I'll do it. I move to authorize the treasurer to transfer $21,404.90 from the general fund to the highway revolving fund. This transfer includes a payment to the state, from the state for highway block grant.
Second?
Motion made by Joe A, seconded by Joe S. All those in favor? Aye. That is unanimous.
I move to approve payroll manifest in the amount of $81,267.82 for pay period January 26th through February 8th, 2025, with a pay date February 8th, 2025. Payroll includes $0 in opera costs.
Second?
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor? Aye. That is unanimous. Robert, are you the one that writes these up?
I am, yeah.
So you could probably leave the whole ARPA thing out of there now.
Okay.
Because I don't think we don't have anything left there.
Going forward, we'll do that.
Am I do this?
Yeah, we'll do Lisa right now, and we'll jump back in the manifest after. I got the ones that were there, so. All right, we have the treasurer here to answer some of the questions that the board may have about the, your report.
Which report?
I don't
Balance
know.
sheet, general ledger, town report?
We'll find out when the selectmen ask those questions.
Fire away.
Did you want to?
Well, just first off, so we're fully rectified through January?
We're totally reconciled as of January 31.
Okay,
I would not have produced the report if we were not.
okay.
As you can see, the cable account is down to $126. So we will be moving cable franchise fees from the general fund into this account at some point.
Yep.
The high balance accounts that we have are the inspector fees. It has $209,000 in it. The highway construction has $318,000 in it. The transfer station recycling has $365,000 in it. And of course, the general fund has $4.4 million in it, but that's to cover the budget, so that's understandable. And then conservation has $217,000 in it. So those are all our high balance ones.
So, Lisa, here's my question. You can put these accounts into different funds, correct? Investment wise.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I guess my question is after the vote in March, you could take the transfer station fund and put that into something.
I could, yes.
Okay. And same thing with, let's just say, the conservation fund, because I don't think, you're not drawing on that. Are you drawing on that all the time, or?
Small amounts
Does that
typically.
affect what you're putting it in?
So-
Like, I know sometimes you put funds in, you can't touch it, so.
Right, so I will be able to, in fact, that's one of my goals this year, is to find out my investment options.
Okay.
All right, so there is an investment fund group, if you will,
Yeah.
municipal group that that I'm looking into.
Okay, because some of these, like, for instance, the transfer station one, once the vote hits and you transfer, if the hazardous waste thing happens, you transfer that 60 grand out, that's it for the year.
Yes, now, one of the the one that I'm looking at, you should be able to withdraw from those funds without penalty
Okay.
at any time. So it's a good one. Exactly. But it's
Okay.
like an investment pool,
Yep.
is what I meant to say. So That's what I'm looking at.
Okay, good, because I'd like to
Well,
see
that's
that.
one of
That
my
actually would be
questions,
really good.
Are there minimum sit times with some of these funds?
For the investment pools, no.
No?
No.
Okay. That's good to know. I thought there was.
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy that everything is reconciled to January 31. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. It was a team effort between me and my deputy.
Okay. Mike, do you have anything that you can think of off the top of your head?
No, I think the only thing are we going to post these for on our website so that the town people can see these?
Yeah, we can.
I think we should.
I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
Public knowledge.
That way they're not coming in and asking for copies.
So,
Yeah, it's public information, so
Yeah.
there's no problem with that.
Well, I was just wondering with these inspector fees, why is there so much money in that account?
so those fees, that's where all of our inspection fees go into.
We don't
And it
draw
was
out of that?
It was
We're
supposed
supposed
be
to, Joe.
used to pay the inspector, and it never was. We're going to do it in either quarterly,
Okay.
we're just gonna transfer the money out.
Right.
Once we figure it out, like now that the things have died down, I'm gonna figure it out, and we're gonna write up a memo to have money transferred out of that into the general fund to pay for Sam and all the other stuff that goes through that.
So is this another fund that we should
Get rid of?
get rid of so that it's money coming in, the town can see exactly where it goes? If it's supposed to go to paying for this, we've been doing this for other funds where,
Correct.
like the special police one that was set up.
But for now, for this year, I could use that money.
No.
Specifically.
Go to vote next year or do something.
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
but
okay.
right now, we can use that money specifically to pay for.
Offset it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we might as well do that sooner rather than later.
It's what the fund was designed for, and then when there are times when there isn't enough to cover it, then you don't. You know, it still comes out of the operating budget.
And that's just for Sam, though, not for Jamie.
No, this is for the building department. So it will cover all fees and expenses, including salaries, for the building, inspecting, code enforcement, you know.
Not health.
Not health.
Not
Okay.
health. Okay. Joe, you got anything?
I was just glad you talked about that global investment, and you think you can come back to us something for next month so we can take a look at it?
If I have something definitive on it, I will certainly do that, yes.
Good. It's about time we did that, so that's good.
Yeah.
Well, one thing at a time.
All you can do.
Just out of curiosity, what type of return do we see on these funds? Or this pool, no, I shouldn't say funds, it's a pool. What type of return do we see?
I don't have that information on me.
Okay.
So,
She's gonna research it.
No,
so-
that's fine.
and
I'm just
fine.
curious.
Yeah, I guess when
but
you
it will
know,
definitely be better than the various interest rates that I'm seeing right now with the savings account or
Yeah.
et
I
cetera.
guess when you do know, just let Robin know. We'll put you on the agenda and have you come and
I can do
discuss
that.
it. Because that'll be actually really good.
Lisa, are you still planning on switching banks? I know early last year you talked about it.
I looked at it, but now we have additional features and capabilities with this bank. So with the ability to do the check scanning, that makes a lot of our deposits able to be done electronically.
Okay.
And the only ones we have to worry about are cash. And the one thing that I kept being hesitant about was if I switched banks, that would mean having to go somewhere else. So going to Kingston and Carriagetown Plaza, for example, or whatever,
Versus
instead
across the
of.
street, right?
Yes, basically across the street.
It does
the-
account for something.
Yeah.
It does.
It does. Having that convenience, especially when I'm here 8, 9, 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night or on the weekends, being able to just drive to that and do the drop-off through the box, that's, you know, a lot easier for me and Amanda, and for Mary Jo.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything out there for municipalities to do cashless transactions that aren't as expensive as like a Visa, like minimum fees?
I mean, like a Square or something like that.
Something where you trust it, right? Because I don't want to just go to the newest gadget, but where you trust it, where people can pay either on our website or come in without using cash, that we're not getting dinged 3%, 4%, 5% fees.
That's the killer.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
That's why I'm,
You know,
why I wrote
most
a
of
check
them
the other
are
day.
the dings, and to get it for under 3%,
nothing for municipal, okay.
you're not gonna find it, because they need to make their money,
Oh, I know.
and that's how they're doing it.
It's
You know,
just I don't
even
want
the
to
little
burden the
ones,
taxpayer.
the so-called convenience fees, and it's not just municipalities. Other small businesses, they're doing the same thing, and now all of these payment processors are going into the convenience fees, you know, now that they're allowed to do that. So whatever you charge, it's that 2.99% or whatever it is on top of whatever your invoice is, if you use a card.
Okay.
Not only that, but my wife and I made some donations at the end of the year to some places, and because I did it online, and we did it, because they're getting charged that fee,
Yeah, they pass it along to you.
the person donating to pay that additional, like say if it was $100, they ask that you pay the additional $6 to $9 along with your $100 donation.
Yep, exactly. Because those merchant fees are expensive, no matter how you look at it.
So,
Yeah, Mike, I probably paid last year close to $100,000 in fees.
Oh,
In credit
we're
card.
going
But
through it
you
at
don't
work
pass
doing
it
the
on.
same thing. It's trying to figure out how not to,
I do not pass it on.
So you eat that as a part of your profit.
Doing business.
And that's why cash and check is still the preferred payment method.
Trust me, I've
Nobody
tried every
carries-
way
nobody
to get
carries
around
it
it.
anymore, though.
There's not much wiggle room
You'd
going
be
around it.
surprised how many people still carry cash.
Really?
Yep.
Not
Yep.
pennies. Pennies aren't worth it anymore.
you know why?
Put it to
Because
you this
sometimes,
way, if you take your car to the shop and you wind up having to have, I don't know, your exhaust system replaced, you pay for with your credit card, there's a hefty merchant fee for that. And they're putting that in there for you, whether it's upfront as a quote-unquote convenience fee or non-cash fee.
All passed along.
It's passed along, so you could expect to pay like $300 just in the extra using your card.
whether you see it or it's baked in, it's there.
Oh, it's there.
Correct.
It is there, definitely. Good deal.
Bob, you got anything?
no, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Did you all review the treasurer town report?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no questions on the town?
I have not finished, I've been,
Under the wire.
but I will get through it.
We'll get through it.
I
Any questions,
will
we'll
say
ask you.
that town report was reconciled and balanced. So it all tied out between the general ledger and the bank account and of course, the report itself. There's multiple ways that it has to be reconciled. I can have one way reconciled and the other one not. So a lot
So-
of it has to do with categorizations and, you know, we're human.
On that topic, in the finance department, we are reconciled for all of 2023. So if anybody's listening, the finance department and the treasurer's department are two different things.
Correct.
Right now. The finance department is reconciled all the way of 2023, and she's starting 2024 now. So
Perfect, good.
we're getting there. She had a lot of straightening out to do, so we're getting there.
Okay.
Nice.
And I know that feeling.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I feel that pain. All right, is that it for me, guys?
Yep,
Yes,
that's it. We're
thank you
good.
very
All right,
much.
thank you, have a good night.
Thank you. You too. All right, you guys want to finish manifest now?
Sure.
All right.
I move to approve vendor manifest in the amount of $85,160.30 with a payment date February 17th, 2025. Payment includes $26,018.92 to G Mello Disposal for townwide disposal services and $7,147.97 to Eastern Minerals, Inc. for salt to treat townwide roads.
Second?
Motion made by Joe A, seconded by Joe S. All those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous.
I move to approve vendor manifest in the amount of $375 with a payment date of February 17th, 2025. Payment is to Pete Sewer Service for repair services at Town Hall.
Second?
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor? Aye, that's unanimous.
I move to approve the withdrawal from the Uniform Fire Watch account in the amount of $380 with a payment date of February 17, 2025. Payment is to East Coast Emergency Outfitter for Fire Department uniforms.
Second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor? Aye, that's unanimous.
I move to approve a withdrawal from Uniform Fire Watch account in the amount of $190 with a payment date of February 17, 2025. Payment is to East Coast Emergency Outfitter for Fire Department uniforms.
Second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
Those couldn't be together as one.
That's what I was just,
Well, they were separate manifests.
they were separate manifests, so that's why it was separated on that. But yeah, we could have.
Okay.
Can we look,
What's that?
Mr. Town Administrator,
Yes.
can we look at legally finding a way to take all these manifests
There is a way to do it.
and just streamline so we agree?
So there, it's
And
called a general consent manifest.
Yeah.
So it's one line, and you all motion to say general consent manifest, and it's all gone. So I suggested this when I was on the board, when my first year on the board, and Matt he said he liked everything separate because it gave the impression that, this is what we're doing, and I completely understand. I agree, because I want it streamlined, so I can research it.
Can we do it in a way that we approve the streamlined version?
Yep.
And put online everything so that it's truly transparent to everybody?
Absolutely.
But for us to read this, if somebody wants to go online, they can get it,
I wholeheartedly agree.
thank
So
you, I will drop it
I'll
like it's hot.
Well, I'm gonna put that on my agenda to look into. Announcements, we have a public hearing on long-term borrowing next Monday, February 24th, 2025. Even though this says 5, it will be at 4. Does anybody have an issue attending that? It's at 4 o'clock.
When's this?
Next Monday.
I will be in Manhattan.
Okay.
What is
Joe,
this
are you
about?
good?
I'm good, but what's it for?
This is for the land purchase.
Manhattan, are
I'm
you?
not a Manhattan drinker, so no.
Bob, are you good?
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
here.
so it'll be at 4 o'clock on Monday here at the town hall. If any residents have any questions or wondering what the long-term borrowing is about, feel free to come and ask us questions.
You say 4 or 5?
4, I just changed it. I asked you if you were okay with it, you said yes. 4 o'clock. Townwide mailing for the transfer station vouchers and town voters guides are gonna be, they're sent to the printer and they will be mailed out in the coming weeks. The vouchers are probably going out before, right? Do you know when the vouchers are going out? Because they're all set now.
Well, they're all set, yeah,
He hasn't sent them out yet.
the same.
Okay, probably the same time, so. They'll hopefully get their voucher and their voter's guide at the same time.
Did we? We didn't approve the voter's guide yet, did we?
We didn't approve it last year either.
No.
I did want to make one change on it, but I guess,
Well, you can let me know what the change is, I guess, and
yeah.
I can make it. All right, with that being said, I'd like to hear a motion to go into non-public.
Make a motion to move to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:(B) hiring.
Second.
Motion made by Joe S., seconded by Joe A. Bob?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. That is unanimous.
Recording stopped.
All set, Ted? He fell asleep back there. What did you change? 'Cause I really